In this video, I'm going to show you very quickly how you can create a remote MCP server hosted on Cloudflare for free that allows users to log in with Google or Github and make payments with Stripe to get access to paid MCP tools that they can use inside clients like Cursor and Claude Desktop. So if you grab the boilerplate from mcpboilerplate.com, download it to your computer and get it ready inside Cursor, and you can follow along as we do it. First thing we want to do is open up the terminal and do npm install. This will install all the packages that we're going to need. We also need to do npm install g wrangler, which is Cloudflare's command line tool. And once that's done, we need to set up a very simple database for user authentication to store these logins. And Cloudflare has a free one called KV, which we can use for this purpose. And we're just going to do npx wrangler KV namespace create. And we're going to call this key value database OAuth KV. And once we run that, Cloudflare is going to ask us to pick an account. I have 4 different accounts here, so I'm just going to install this on my personal account. And it's going to give us an array here. All we need is this ID. So if we double click that, copy that, inside Wrangler JSON here, we just replace it right there. Save that. We can close down the file and we'll clear the terminal as well. So that's the database set up. The next thing we want to do is make sure our local environment variables are also set up. There's a dev.vars example file here. And this is basically all the API keys that we'll need to use with Google and Stripe to be able to get this MCP server working. So the easiest way to do that is to just modify and remove .example from the end, and then the MCP server will use that locally. When we deploy it live, we need to do some other things, but it's all in the documentation. You don't need to remember any of this. This README file here covers literally everything that you need step by step, and it's built for non-technical founders and vibe coders to be able to quickly jump in and go step by step without really having to do too many complicated technical things. So we need to set up Google first of all. So let's head over to Google Cloud Console and we'll go through it. So when you go to console.cloud.google.com, you can see I'm already logged into a project here called Playbooks. I'm going to click here and then do a new project. And I'm going to call this MCP demo. We don't need an organization, so I'll just click create. Now we need to click back on to our project picker and switch over to this project. And then in the top left navigation menu, if we click and go to API and services, we'll go to the OAuth consent screen page. So we just need to create this here by clicking get started. So we'll just call it MCP demo again. We'll pick the email address. We'll make this external so that everyone can use it, and we'll hit next. We'll add a contact email, click next, and finish. Now we just need to create the OAuth client, which we can do by clicking this button right here. We're going to call it web application. I'm going to leave it as is. And in the authorized redirect URL, we need to set this to our local URL, which is in the documentation, and you can just paste that there. When we deploy this live, we'll need to add another URI here or replace this one so that our live MCP server can use it as well. I'm going to click create, but it can take up to 5 minutes, which is fine. So we'll OK that. And then over here in the download OAuth client section, you can see we've got a client ID and a client secret, which we need. So let's copy these over. Client ID can go there. Client secret. Save those, close that. So while we wait for this to work, we might as well set up Stripe as well. We need to get these keys here, publishable and secret keys, and also a price ID. So we'll do that now. Inside my Stripe sandbox, which is a test account, I'm just going to type in API keys. We'll get the publishable and the secret key. And then we need to create a product. So we go to products, create product, MCP product. We'll do US dollars. Now at the moment, it has to be recurring. We're just going to do a yearly recurring of $10. One-time payments don't work quite yet with the Stripe payment package, but that might change. So for now, it has to be recurring. So we'll do save product. We'll click the price and we'll get this price ID here. We'll put that in there. Now we're almost ready to test this, but what we do need to do first is actually create this cookie encryption key so that we can encrypt the stuff that's going to get stored in our database when users authenticate. So we'll generate one now with OpenSSL. If I can type it, OpenSSL rand hex 32. We'll just take a random string and paste that in there like that. And then we'll clear that. And in theory, we should be able to just do npm run dev. And it should be running locally. We'll open a new tab here. And we want to test this out locally with the MCP inspector, which we can do with npx at model context. If I can type it, this is a long one. Protocol. Jesus, come on in. /inspector at latest. This is all available to copy and paste inside the README guide, by the way. You don't need to remember all of this. Okay, so in the inspector, we need to make sure that the transport type is set to SSE and the URL is the localhost 8787/SSE. And when we click connect, you're going to see this page here. So this authorization page here is completely customizable in the boilerplate. You can change the logo, the title, the description. And then when we click login with Google, it's going to go off to Google. We'll log in. And now we're back inside the inspector, successfully authenticated. If we list the tools, we have 3 tools. Add tool is free, so we can add 1 + 1. That's 2. And we can calculate. We'll do plus 1 + 1. But no, not plus. Add is 2. And then this big add tool here is paid. So you won't be able to access this without paying for a Stripe subscription. So let's try 2 + 2. If we run it, we'll see what happens is it actually gives us a message for an AI agent. It says, tell the user this tool requires a subscription to use. And then it basically gives the agent information on how to open this in the user's browser so they can pay for it. So here's the checkout for the MCP product, $10 a year. And now we're going to pay and subscribe. Then you get redirected to the success page inside the boilerplate, which again can be customized. You can insert your features here. Back in the MCP inspector, if we run this tool again, we'll see we get the answer of 4. So we're now a paid user and we can access this tool. And that's really all there is to it. It's as simple as that. So we'll just quickly show you how you can deploy this live now by going back to cursor here. So let's go to a new tab here. And all you need to do is do npx wrangler deploy. Okay, so it's deploying this now. And you see here, it's giving me this URL. This is our new live URL. So to get this working now on the live URL, what we need to do is we need to do a few things. We need to put all of these secrets. Let's have a look. Let me just show you in the README file here in the deploy section. All of these secrets need adding to Cloudflare. So I'll do that one at a time here now. Okay, so all of those keys have now been added. But what I do need to do is go back to the OAuth app in Google and change the callback URL or add another one so that I can use this on the live version as well. So back in here in clients, if we click this, we can add another URL here, which is that /callback/Google. And this is going to take some time, so I'm going to save that. And we'll close that. Now, while we're waiting for that to update, what I'm going to do is really quickly show you how to add a new tool, because we have cursor rules here as well. So what we can do here now is we can add in this cursor rule file and say, create a new paid tool that multiplies 3 numbers together. Okay, and that's created the paid tool. So in theory, if we go back to the MCP inspector, and if we reconnect, we now have a multiply 3 tool. 2 by 2 by 2, which is 8. And that's it. That's how you do it. So we should now be able to test this out inside Cursor. So let's reject all these changes. Let's close all of this down here. So what we want to do inside the README file here, it's going to show us how to use this. So it gives us this here, look, MCP servers, my server. So let's take this. Let's go over to MCP servers. We'll add a new one here in Cursor. We're actually going to call it demo MCP. Now what I need to do is provide the address here, which I can't remember what it was. Here we go. Copy that. Okay. So straight away, it sent me off to my boilerplate, which is hosted live. We'll log into Google. We'll log in with a different account here, which I'm not going to show you. Then we get this authentication successful. Go back into Cursor and you can see that we have the demo MCP with an add, calculate, and big add. Okay, so what we're going to do is say use the add tool to add 1 plus 1. Okay, so you can see that it did it. Now we're going to say use the big add tool to add 10 plus 10. Okay, so now it says we need to complete the checkout process, and it's going to do that for us. And here's the checkout. We'll do it again. We'll check out. We see the success page. Back in. Try again with big add 10 plus 10. And that time it worked. 10 plus 10, 20. And that's it. That's how you can create an MCP server in about 10 to 15 minutes using the boilerplate. Please let me know if you use this and what you build. I would love to check it out. Cheers.